This is the first episode of my course where I'll be showing you how to make my game Tanks2023. So, without further ado, let's get started. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how to make the actual tank for the game. So, let's go. First, I'm going to delete everything, and I'm going to go add, and I'm going to add an image and choose reference. I've in my link in the description, I gave you a folder, and you can just check it out, and it will give you a PNG image called tank reference image. So you must just download that, and you'll get the image. And then you go reference, and it'll give you all your files, and you must select it. Okay, I've just done that. If we now go Alt-G, Alt-R to clear all rotation, Alt-G clears all movements. Okay. Next, we're going to go RX 90. We're going to go on the Y-axis, and we're going to move the tank just so we can properly see it. We can rename this reference. We can go add mesh, add mesh cube, and we can then go scale it down a bit, and we can, by the way, I forgot to say, I have my screencast keys down there in the corner. If we just scale it up a bit, there we go. We can now go Alt Z, and just move it like this. Do the same to the top, and then do the same to the middle. That should look okay. Then we're going to move it like this again. We're going to move the bottom a bit, and we're going to move the very bottom, just like that. And then we've got a little inset. So we're going to go also X, and we're going to go limited dissolve. Now dissolve as many pieces as it possibly can without changing the actual structure of the mesh. Although I will use the knife tool just to cut it like this, since we'll need it later on. Whoops. Let's not do that. I forgot where to cut. So we need to cut it right here, the start of the white line. And we're going to cut it at the top of the white line. Just like that. Next, we're going to go to Blender Preferences, and I'm going to search Auto Mirror. By default, this will be off, but you must turn it on. Then we can go in, and you'll see a new window here, Edit. So then we can go Auto Mirror, and I believe on the Y-axis, Auto Mirror. And there, now we have a mirror modifier installed. Well, on. And Auto Mirror is quite useful since it cuts our mesh in half by default. Next, we're going to go outside edit mode, select our reference and duplicate it, because we're going to start doing this side. So if we go Shift Z, let's just move it. Let's move our reference image approximately in the middle. If we check our cube, we can just move it like that. Let's move the reference image just like that. Perfect. We're then going to scale this reference image down, and we're going to move it on one side as much as we can, like this. Then we're going to select the part where our white line is. So we're going to select all of this part, and we're going to move it on the Y-axis so it has a nice edge. So it has a nice corner piece like this. And if we check, it looks quite interesting. Don't know if I call it cool yet, but yeah. We can move on the Y-axis just a bit to make sure it's perfect in the middle. We can select it all and make sure it's on the very edge. Nice. We can also select this part and check out our vertex area. It looks like we have one vertex here, so we can add a vertex here, select it, and there, and then we can try and make this vertex completely flat, like this. I hope this I think this should work. And extrude it out. Then we can go rotate it just a bit. Whoops. And we can just choose the spin. And as you'll see, the spin's in a complete wrong position first. So we select this face here. We go shift. Actually, let's go vertex mode and select this area. Go shift S, cursor to selected. And as you see, it's in the wrong rotation. So now we can go to tool and choose whichever axis works. So in this case it's X, so we'll rotate it on the X axis, just down a bit at a bit of an angle. And we don't want many steps at all, so we want it angled in fact, so we just have one step. Then we can extrude it down. Maybe we just, let's rotate, reverse that again. And let's say rotate it like this. Nice. And do the same thing. But make sure this vertex has the cursor. And then we can extrude it down. And even make this go down a bit further. So the whole thing's a bit thick right now. So we can just move this up. Move this a bit in a corner and move this a bit, I believe, let's say like this, and maybe move it on the y-axis a bit more. We can still move it down there. And let's check it. It looks interesting. Let's go merge vertices, and by distance try and merge as many vertices as we possibly can. And as you see here, we have this it's way too big here, so almost like a bevel here. So we need to fix that quickly. So if we just move it, okay, let's move it up like there, okay. And on the other side, it's the opposite problem. So we need to select all of this. And on the y-axis, let's just go there, let's check it. Let's go GY. And I believe that should fix it. Next, this needs to be rotated. Let's rotate it just like that. And let's check it again. Just like that. And we can do the exact same thing. But I guess on the opposite to this. So let's just check it. It doesn't look that good right now. So we go on the y-axis. So if we select it, we'll then go on the y-axis. Let's see how I can fix this. Let's go on the x-axis so you can see it properly. And just like this. Select it all. And we can move it up. Like that. Oh, the mesh is a bit broken here, so let's hopefully something like this would do it. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward angle, so let's try and move this a bit more. So there's a very awkward and complex angle here, so I could, I guess, merge all these in the center. Actually, maybe not. I think they break it more, merge these vertices at the center. Nice. Let's merge these vertices at the center. And if we just go / just to see the thing, the full thing, and we go edge mode, let's just go SZ0 and then we can rotate it a bit. And then we have this weird edge right in the corner. So let's see if I can, I think that will do it. And then we can move it on the x-axis a bit. Oops, this is moved now. Let's zoom in. And I believe we have done now. Let's check it. Hopefully this looks reasonable. If we just select this and move it on the Y, let's select it all. And also let's choose select box again, because we don't want to accidentally rotate it with the spin tool. That should do it, and then move it down. And on this down, we move it just like this. And on this down, move it just like this. Okay, now we have done well with this part. Next, we're going to be adding the turret. So I'm going to go add mesh cube. Let's add the cube. We're going to go move it on the x-axis here. We're going to move it up. Move it edge cut here and here. Move this up. We're going to add an edge cut here. Move that. And then we can extrude it. Move it down. Extrude it again. Move it down. And just move this on the x-axis. And that looks quite nice. If we do the exact same thing again, like that. Whoops. Let's go rotate it a bit more. And let's make it, let's also go in our edit, auto mirror on the y-axis. Whoops, that just broke everything. Let's go Command Z. There. Okay. Let's go apply all transforms on there, and then auto mirror on the y-axis. Great. And then we can join them together. And now they both are part of the same object. We can then scale. Let's scale. Yeah, I think that's great. So if we check it now, and let's just hide all these reference images. Looks quite cool. Now if we just move it a bit like this, and do a bit like this. Now if we shade auto smooth, which you'll see the option if you're using a newer version of Blender, there it's all smooth now, and not too many hard edges where we don't want hard edges. And so that means we can have a low-ish vertex count, but it looks smooth. And shade smooth actually works where it changes how light reflects on the actual model. So instead of having to add way more vertices, I'm going to add a cylinder, and I'm going to give it 15 vertices in a little box. I'm going to scale it down now. Let's go Alt Z, Shift Z. And let's just go in edit mode and do it. Scale it a bit up. Then we can duplicate it, rotate on 90 degrees. And a bit like that. And we can bevel it. And be careful not to press V when beveling, otherwise it'll bevel it as a vertex bevel. So if we just check what this looks like instead of a ghostly looking image, we shade smooth. Let's shade it smooth a bit more than usual. And that looks interesting. Let's bevel this again. On the edge though, on the sides, like this. Let's just move it and unhide the previous image because we'll need to see that. I recommend doing this in edit mode though, or Alt Z enabled, so we can see everything. Yeah, in edit mode enabled, so we can just see where everything is. I'm also just going to merge this with the turrets, and which I guess also merges it with everything else. So let's just make this 30 degrees. And I think this bevel here is fine. We can then go on the y-axis here. We can go, let's move it, select this face and go cursor to selected, go add and add a cylinder. Oh, by the way, if you're adding anything with the mirror modifier, I disable clipping first, and then you can add the cylinder. Otherwise, it does a weird duplication. Plus, I think this part needs to be parted actually, because it will cause some weird problems. Now we can go add and add a cylinder, but I think what's happening there is that it was weirdly having a mirror modifier on spheres, which look quite weird, on cylinders, sorry. Now if we just extend it all the way, then we can go extrude ES, which is extrude in scale, extrude it again, like this, inset it, extrude it, and extrude it all the way on that inset. There, just like that. Next, we can add 2 loop cuts. We can scale them reasonably far apart. And on the y-axis, we can just select these both parts. Now it'd be edge and bridge edge loops, which will add a hole in it. And hopefully this should work for the top as well. Edge, bridge edge loops. The biggest problem is that it kind of does this, it kind of intersects here. So if we, let's just check it. If we zoom in, as you'll see, yeah, there's no actual hole going right through it anymore on any of them. So I need to add that hole somehow. So we can add a loop cut right here. And go select the face. Oops, that obviously isn't the one I had a loop cut on. Let's try and find it. I think the loop cut is somewhere deep inside this. So I think we should delete all the faces inside it actually. And also delete all these weird faces like this. Let's go / on it just to only see it in its own like little scene view. And let's delete all the weird intersecting pieces. Like this. And like this. Also this. And I think that looks okay. So now I'm going to select all of these. All of these. Like this and this. And whoops, I appear to be selecting all of these. Let's fix that. I think these are some weird intersecting faces, as I said. So delete them all. And you know, I think that's actually okay. So if we check it and select only the mesh, looks quite good. The next thing we're going to be adding is going to be the tracks. So I can just go add, mesh, add a cylinder, RX 90, scale it down just a bit. And we're going to have a couple. So our first one is going to be, we're going to have one here. And then we're going to have some smaller ones here, 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 and here. And then another bigger one right here. So if we check them all, let's select it there, again and again. Item, and let's just move it all. Scale on the y-axis a bit. Scale it just a bit. And we need to scale it exactly half the size. And the reason why I did that is so, because these wheels are intersecting, as you might see, we're going to move it just like this. And now they aren't intersecting, and it gives it a bit of depth, which is quite nice. So if we just check it, there we go. Now we have our nice wheels for the tank. I can select all the wheels, and I can go Command L, and I believe if I link it to object data, then if we go insert it, and if we extrude it, yes, now it's basically using the same mesh on all of these. Well, they're linked. So if I insert it in and go, let's insert it inside, insert it in a bit more on a Y, and scale it down. And we have all the wheels. I think this part's a bit small though, so it looks a bit odd. So I'm going to fix that. And scale up and go Shift Y when I scale up. So then it looks like that, which I think looks quite good. If we join them all now, then it looks a bit like that, which is fine. And we can actually just select everything, scale it on the y-axis, and also on these ones, which appear to be a bit bigger than the previous ones. There. Now we can join the wheels to the main tank, and that will look good. If we check it all, oh, I see what's happened here. What's happened is the wheels are on the opposite side. So what I want to do is go Shift, okay, and we'll select the 3D cursor. Because the cursor currently is right in the center, I want to go select it every part of the mesh for the wheels. Go a -1. Scale it on the y-axis, I believe, by -1, and that means all the mesh is on the same side. And now we have our tank with its wheels, which is quite cool. So if we hide all the reference material, I think the tank is really coming along now. So we can, let's go to H. We can then add, I guess, a couple smaller details. One of them will be the little hatch at the top. So let's add that. And also, I think the turret, I'll make that a separate object and apply its mirror, since I don't need the mirror anymore, since I've done modeling at the base of the turret. So if we go cursor to selected right here, add a cylinder, scale it down a bit, scale it even more down, scale it like this, and there. And if we check it, that looks quite cool now. Maybe make it just a bit bigger and move it. There we go. Now we can add the back panel. So if we select it like this and add a back panel just like this and go SX, rotate it a bit. Actually, let's first scale down before we rotate, otherwise it'll do weird scales. And scale it up a bit. And there. Now we have the back panel. If we now select all of all these loop cuts, okay, all these not loop cuts, sorry, all of these edges. So if we go choose a face and select, and then go to edge, and now we can bevel it, and we can go segments. Whoops. Let's just go on the y-axis, select all of these edges, and then we can bevel it, and it will bevel it nicely. If we check it, there we go. And we could even bevel it a bit like this and make it segments 1. And there, now we have a back panel. So we can shade it all smooth, and I guess we can also merge our turrets now, since that's also one object. And also, this part right here, it looks, I don't know how you'd shoot bullets out there, so we'll just extrude it in. So it looks a bit like that. And if we check it, let's hide some of the reference images. So we're also going to add these back exhaust pipes, which I think I quite like actually. So I go disable clipping, make sure clipping is disabled. I'll show you what happens if we do enable clipping. If we add, let's say, a cube, we scale it down, it kind of merges with the other side. So if we disable clipping, then they're both separate. Okay, and then we can enable clipping again if you really want. We can then rotate this whole part, scale it up. And the rotation is a bit strange, you may notice, because we are rotating by the cursor. We need to rotate by the median point. Then we just go Shift S, cursor to selected right here. By the way, just so you know, if you don't know already, the cursor is where objects spawn essentially. By the way, disable clipping. So it's where the objects first appear when they starts. And as you can see that it starts right there. So if we rotate it a bit, scale it up, and just extrude the exhaust pipe just a bit. Then we can select this one edge right in the corner and select it all, and then choose the spin tool. We go tool again and choose the y-axis, since there's axis with the best rotation. But we need to increase the number of steps, maybe 3. I think that's a good amount. Oh, let's just redo that. I believe it's -45 is a good rotation. I believe that's it. And if we make, it's approximately it, essentially. And 3 steps, that's great. And then SX 0. And we can, essentially, we can also just inset it, extrude on the x-axis, and there. And now we have exhaust pipes. We can also go shade smooth on them, and they'll look good. And I think pretty much all of the main part of the tank is complete. Oh, and in my actual game, right? In the actual model, I have imprinted on all of the tanks the number 301. So I just decided 301 because that's one of the tanks I saw in Google Images. But except what I'm going to do with this one is I'm not going to add any number on it. So my idea is that what will happen, and this isn't done in the original project, but I think it would be a better idea, is it won't have any text on it, and the code will generate a number for it. So instead of every single tank, and including enemy tanks, have 301, or if I really wanted, I'd have to change out all the tanks, change the number. I can just get Unity to generate a text, and I can just randomly generate a number on the side, which I think will be a better idea. So I won't add any text on the side. So if we check, I think the remaining is just a bit of details. Then what we'll do is we'll add the color, then we'll rig it. So the only real rigging part though is just moving up the turret, and then we'll be done with the actual tank. So one of the things I want to do is go add mesh, and what I think is actually a very useful little thing is, I believe it's called, let's just try and find it. Here it is, extra, just search extra, and you'll see add mesh extra objects. And make sure you don't add the curve one. You can, but I'm not going to. We can add the text, deleted extra objects, and go add mesh, and now we get all these extra things. Now I really like the gear thing, but we won't be using that. We'll be adding a single vert and just add single vert. You can do the same thing as what the single vert is, just by getting a cube and deleting all 3 of the vertices, but it's quite a useful pack. If we just move the vertice right there, we're going to extrude it out like that. Make sure try and avoid the vertex actually touching the tank, the actual gear. I'm going to make it thicker, but just try and avoid that. So we're going to extrude it out like this, and we're going to do it. Whoops! Let's get it in again. Move it in like this, then we can actually, let's just delete this vertex and move it down here, and just make sure it doesn't look slack, but it also looks like it's actually on the actual turret, on the the wheels. So we can move it all the way down there, and just like that. Perfect. And we can move it down here. This purely for visual purposes, by the way, so that it doesn't really matter. The wheels will just kind of slide along. But one day, maybe in a Tanks2023 update, I'll probably make the wheels actually have like move up and down and all that. But for now, it's just most basically for show. So let's extrude it, and if you really want, if you really want to make sure it looks okay, you can select this vertex and fill it in. And now we have a full tank. We have a full track piece. So if we select it, we can start the track piece here, and then we can extrude it all the way out here. Okay, it looks a bit odd, so unfortunately I'm going to have to play around with how it looks. So I'm going to actually move the track on the opposite side, just makes it a bit easier for me to work. And we'll select all of this, deselect the wheels, okay, with Shift L, by the way, to deselect wheels. And let's check it. And I think that looks Okay, whoops, that's definitely not okay. Let's try and fix that and make sure it still lines up nicely. And there. And I think it all lines up perfectly. And also, I've completely forgot this. There we go, nice. It's a bit cleaner, I think, the mesh. And we could, if we really wanted to, even make this a bit flatter, which is nice. Check it. There, that looks great. Okay, now we have our track. You may notice it looks a tiny bit thin. It looks a bit dangerous to be going on bumpy terrain in case it comes off. So we're going to add a solidify modifier and just make it a reasonable size thickness. Not too thick, but not too thin either. So I think 0.02 is okay. And also apply, every so often, just apply all the locations and rotations and stuff. Just to make sure it looks good. And also, if we just hide everything else except the track, you may notice this looks a bit odd. So what I need to do is, I believe it's because of the normals maybe. So we can check the normals here. Let's do, whoops. Let's go world. And if we show normals, okay, we can, here it is. Okay, let's check it. Yes, this normal is flipped. I don't know if that's a problem. Let's see. Fin F3 and flip. Yes. Okay, so that fixed it now. That's nice and it makes sense now, which is great. And we can also go even thickness. Then we can apply the modifier. And there we go. We can shade auto smooth and duplicate it. Actually, thinking about it, we don't have to duplicate because we can just merge it with the whole mesh and it'll duplicate for us. And I think that looks really cool now. So yeah, the tank is really coming along. So I believe that we can add a couple more details. So in my actual tank, I have the famous buckets, of course, because all modern tanks have buckets on the side of them. Don't know why I decided to add that, but yeah, it's part of it now, so it's, yeah. Okay, let's scale this cube down. And down more. X. Okay, by the way, I'm just going to hide these normals because they're a bit irritating. Also, by the way, if your normals are like too small, they don't really show up, then just make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to just disable normals because I don't need to always see them. Also, before I disable them, they also just have different ways of showing them. So this is showing all of the normals, like all the corner normals, which might be useful for some sort of, something I'll show you later on, actually, with a tank. And let's just move it. Then let's rotate it a bit like this. And extrude it down. And let's go on the y-axis. So it's 0, it's y. And let's move it down, extrude it down a bit more. There, I believe. And we can scale it up and extrude it like this. Do the same thing again. And let's do that right now. And I guess something like this, just to make sure the bucket, just some sort of interesting bucket holder, I guess. And extrude it up. Now it looks like a G, a backwards G, but that's fine, I guess. Merge vertices by distance. And let's try and increase it. I think these vertices, though, really need to, I believe they are together. Okay, apparently they are together. So, okay, something went horribly wrong there. So there's something a bit wrong with these vertices. So these are two vertices very close together. So we merge them at center And we do the exact same thing again. And we can reset 0 and do the same thing. I said 0. And there, we can check it now, and I think it will look fine. Apart from, oops, sorry, I totally forgot. These vertices are also a bit broken. And there. So let's scale it on the x-axis to 0, scale on the x-axis to 0, and there we go. Now we've done. I can't believe I spent that long on a bucket holder. No one's ever going to see. But, oh well. So then we can go select it. Also, we can go X and limited dissolve, which just dissolves as much as it can without damaging the actual mesh itself. It's actually quite useful. Then we can go add mesh and let's add the bucket. So the bucket's very basic. It's just, let's make that 15 because it doesn't need to be a very high poly bucket. It's just a bucket. So we can do that. We can delete all this. Select it right there. We can then go add mesh cylinder, scale it down. Okay, move it downwards again, S shift Z. Okay, let's try and get as big as the bucket can be. And also, this bucket doesn't look like it would hold pretty much anything, so we'll just move it down a bit. And also, this bucket looks awfully thick, so we're just going to scale it down. We're going to inset it just very thinly and extrude it downwards. And there. Next, on our little handle, I'm going to go add mesh. And I'm going to add what's called a skin modifier. We're going to select everything, Command A, just to make it a bit smaller. And there. We can even enable smooth shading. Shade auto smooth. And join it. And now we have a little bucket. So I think what I kind of forgot is we need to scale. Let's just make it scale this up just a bit. And X limited dissolve, just to dissolve as much as I can. And now we have a little bucket. We have let's make it a bit bigger bucket. So now we've got a bucket, we've got a bucket holder, I guess. Don't know why I'd call this anyway. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with the bucket. Scale it down and merge it with the holder and then merge it with the tank. Now if we just hide the reference images, our tank looks quite cool. And also in our viewport shading, there's another thing where we can go cavity, which already looks awesome. We can choose both and make it up to the max, and now it looks quite awesome. Okay, and also with this you can see every little nook and cranny. So if we go X limited dissolve, let's just dissolve some of these. And I think our tank is perfect, really. I think all that's left is a couple last details. So if we unhide the reference, by the way, this cool cavity thing, as they call it, is only for the viewport for viewing, so it won't actually appear in your game, which is a pity because it looks awesome. Right. Let's now add our colors, I guess. So we can go viewport shading, and we can go. Let's go to material. And by the way, at this point, I think it's a good idea to just apply every single modifier you have on anything, and then just merge it all. We can also just delete the reference image. Then we can go to material, add a new material. Let's add the exciting color of grey. Add grey. And then we can choose base, color. Okay, so grey will be, well, as you guessed it, grey. And base color, we can make this wave a color. We can make it bright pink if we wanted. So why don't I do that, just temporarily. Okay, we can assign everything the awful base color. And then we can, and I'm just making it pink for now. First of all, because for show, and also just so I can select everything and show you when it's grey or not. So it's easier to differentiate between the colors. So let's assign that to grey. And let's assign this grey. Whoop, I totally forgot when I was joining the mirror modifier, forgot that I would duplicate the bucket twice. Let's select this and delete it. The back part will also be grey. And all the top, by the way I'm selecting this whole mesh is just going L, and that selects the separate mesh that we joined. And I believe that's all the grey parts we need. And what's cool is in Unity, I can make this base color whatever I want, and it'll change it. If we also just add track, and we make it black, we can just select the 2 tracks. So I'm going to add a material, but already this looks quite cool. So you may also in the drive link I sent you, you'll have a folder inside there called textures. And in those textures, you just want to download the whole folder. I recommend the entire Tanks2023, the entire thing. But inside there are textures, and inside the textures you'll have tracks.jpg, and you'll just you'll have those, right? And you'll set this color to image texture, and then we can open that tracks.jpg inside it. Okay, so as you see here, we just loaded tracks.jpg. Nice. As you see, nothing different has happened. I don't know if the same will happen to you, but it will either look like just black, or it might look a bit like this. So next I want to go to UV editing window. Okay, I don't know why UV editing always decides that this is the best way to view textures, but yeah. What I might also do is just and let's choose this, and now we can actually see our texture. So if we check this, we want to go SY, I guess. Actually, if we just rotate it by 90 degrees, let's go Command I to select everything else, which is a cool little shortcut, and then we can only see the tracks. Also, we can hide all of this orange displayed by hiding show overlays, and now you can see it properly. So as you see, the corners of the tracks are looking good. I'm going to show this again, but the edges of the tracks are looking a bit odd, so let's fix that. Let's try and make it approximately the same size, and like that. So now we have nice realistic-ish tracks. If now we just let's go select everything, go cursor to selected, which will put right in the middle, okay, and select the track that that didn't work. In this case, it's this one, and duplicate this track and scale it on the Y. Actually, let's delete it. We need to, sorry, I forgot. We need to scale on the Y with the cursor, a 3D cursor as the origin, and then it'll look like this, which looks awesome actually. Okay, so we can go back to layout, and there we go. Our actual tank part is done essentially. Also, I might actually make the whole turret part just a tiny bit smaller. It looks a tiny bit odd. So maybe just like this, I guess. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to select this. There. Okay, it looks a bit better, I guess. Okay. And I think we've actually done our actual tank model. Okay, we can just hide the actual photo and delete it. And there we go. We've actually done the tank model, I believe. Whoops, our bucket we need to set that as grey. And there we go. Nice, it looks great. Next, we're going to go add an armature. Okay, and this will be control the tank. So control the up and down movement of the turrets. So we can first just add this piece here and this piece down here. Let's just move it right in the same position. Move it like this. Alrighty, just like this. And it looks great now. We can also go SZ0 and move it like this. And then move this right in the corner. So what I can actually do is go L to select, which is linked, select linked. We can select all of this part, the rotating pivot area. And we can select this part of the bone, go Shift S, and we can go selection to cursor. And that's perfect, it's right here in the middle of the pivot area. And now if we rotate it, that's how it would work. We can then go on the bone and we can select it, go edit mode. And I'm naming this the default root. So let's name it roots. And we can name this, well, I guess barrel is a better name than turret because, well, this is the turret, there's a barrel. And there we go. We have done with the rig. To make it actually work though, we need to select the mesh, then we must select the bone, then go Command P and with empty groups. And now if we go to data, you'll see the different bones. We have our root bone, which will out select everything except the whole barrel part. And there. Let's assign the roots and let's select the barrel. Let's assign it. And select, and there. And let's go pose mode now, and as you see, the barrel rotates with it. And of course, if we move the root, it should move every single bone. So we select the barrel and the root, and we go Command P, keep offset. First select the barrel, then the roots. And now, if we move the roots, it makes a whole tank. Okay, this is the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode where we should be importing this to Unity. Bye!